We all desire a rest from the hot summertime, day-to-day chores of the city, and to spend some quality time in a pool. With its crystal clear consistent 68-degree water temp, Jacob's Well serves as the perfect spot for the Texas residents and visitors along. Jacob's Well is a spring from the karst hydrological system. It discharges into Cypress Creek 3.1 mile northwest of Wimberley in west-central Hays County and is the primary spring source of water for the creek. The sinkhole points from an inclined shaft 131 feet deep from the most extensive underwater cave in Texas, along a fault line within the Edwards Plateau. The Trinity Aquifer-fed water gushes out from the mouth of the cave. It has measured flow in 1924 at 170 U.S. gallons per second, discharging 6 feet into the air. However, that number has significantly reduced over the century because of the development in the surrounding areas. The creek flows southeast for 14.3 miles into the Blanco River in Wimberley. Most people choose to lounge around on the lip of the well to relax in the cold, crystal clear water. Some leap into the well from nearby outcroppings. Then there are the daredevils who freedive into the well, sometimes as deep as 100 feet, navigating the thin openings into the underwater cave. But only specialized divers are authorized to explore the underground chambers of the spring. If you dive into Jacob's Well through the 12 feet wide tunnel, it leads to one of the most complex and dangerous underwater cave structures in the world. Jacob's Well comprises many different chambers but is only accessible up to the 4th chamber. Anything beyond that is unexplored because of the difficulty hazards. As you pass from 1st to 2nd to 3rd to 4th chamber, it becomes harder and harder to squeeze through the narrow passages. As you proceed deeper into the cavern, it also becomes smaller and darker due to the lack of sunlight. The 1st chamber is 25 feet deep and is the most beautiful part of the well. This is where the rookie divers would spend most of their time. The 2nd chamber is narrower and runs all the way down to 75 feet. This place attracts intermediate scuba divers. Here every diver must be aware during their ascent, as this chamber has a misleading exit route called the false chimney that dead ends into a wall. If you enter here, you have to go all the way back to the 2nd chamber and then to the 1st chamber. As you continue down the 75 feet mark at the bottom of the 2nd chamber, there is a very tight squeeze. Somehow after crossing this, you will get into the 3rd chamber. At this time, it turns into complete darkness, and silt and gravel surround you on all sides of the cave. You must be careful not to kick them off or it will blind you completely. The 3rd chamber is only 10 feet long, so it is a very small chamber. Only expert divers are allowed to go into this chamber. At the bottom of the 3rd chamber at 90 feet deep lies a heavy metal grate that sits at the entrance of the infamous 4th and the last known chamber. Only a handful of persons have ever got here, but a few remained alive to tell the tale. All in all, very few people knew what lies inside. Also, who have lost their lives inside this part, their bodies were never recovered due to the risk it involves. So it was finally sealed up, to avoid any more deaths. There are literally dead bodies still trapped inside the 4th chamber. If you want to get there, you have to try open that metal grate, then remove your tanks and push them down through the narrow passage while breathing with your mouthpiece. You must repeat the process during your ascent to come out of the 4th chamber. In 1983, Richard Patton, 22, of New Braunfels, and Clark McConnell, 24, of San Marcos entered the cave at about 8:30 p.m. Wednesday wearing wetsuits and diving gear and carrying lights. Both are members of an advanced diving class at Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos. They both jumped into the water to the bottom of the 1st chamber. From there they leapt into the 2nd chamber and wriggled through the 3rd chamber all the way down to the entrance of the 4th chamber. Now they are more than 90 feet deep inside the cave. At this point, they were supposed to return as there is the heavy metal grate that prevents divers from diving any farther. But they decided to continue. Richard removed the grate, took off his air tanks, and pushed the tanks through the narrow tunnel while continuing to breathe through his air hose. As he entered the cave, it is unclear what Richard saw there. He immediately turned back and hurtled out of the chamber. While doing so, he got his air tank stuck inside the 4th chamber. McConnell saw this, and he knew that it was an emergency and they need to exit the well as soon as possible. He started sharing his tank with Richard, buddy breathing their regulator as they began their ascent. But Jacob's Well is more than a hole in the ground. It is a vertical limestone cave with caverns and passages branching from the main channel. 30 feet down, 2 passages are heading upward, the main well that leads to the surface and another passage to the false chimney. In their haste that Wednesday night, McConnell and Richard entered the false chimney, ascended 8 to 10 feet height, and hit the stone wall at the end. Their air ran out when they hit there. McConnell, with his last breath left, made his final effort to swim out of the false chimney and into the passageway to the surface. Wimberley's rescue and fire units arrived within 15 minutes after McConnell surfaced and called for help, but there was nothing they could do. The next day, rescue divers were called. Don Dibble, who led the rescue divers, said the task was difficult because he was Richard's instructor at his university. He had dived before with both Richard and McConnell at Canyon Lake southwest of San Marco. Dibble said both McConnell and Richard were extremely experienced and intelligent divers who were working toward the instructorship level by taking the advanced diving course at the university. Dibble also nearly died once while recovering 2 bodies in 1979 at the 90 feet depth as he became trapped in a passageway by strong currents and began swallowing water as he prepared to die. He managed to break loose but ruptured his stomach as he swam back to the surface. If you have made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. If you want to support us, leave us a like, share or comment your thoughts below. And if you enjoy stories related to true crime, unfortunate events, horrors, and mysteries, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our uploads. Until then, see you next time.